talk about sauteing and sweating, two cooking techniques that I'm sure everybody has heard of, and they've actually sometimes get mistaken for one another. So sauteing is a very fast way of cooking. Think high heat, lots of movement, and that can add a crispier texture to your food. Whereas sweating is a slow method of cooking. Think low heat over an extended period of time with occasional stirring. Both methods of cooking are done in a saute pan, so it is a small pan and that has the rounded sloping edges like this. The word saute is a French word that means to jump. So sauteing as a cooking term actually means, to make sure there's lots of movement in your food. And a lot of times we'll see, the chefs working like this and the food inside the pan comes up into the air and then lands back inside, and that what allows for the heat to work through. Whereas sweating is actually going to sit directly on the pan. It's not going to be a lot of movement at all, maybe occasional stirring, but it doesn't move. So sauteing involves a little bit of fat, usually oil. The heat from the bottom of the pan is going to transfer to the oil, and then that's what's going to help cook your item. Sweating, however, usually doesn't involve any oil. You're really relying on the juices that are inside of the food to come out and help it cook. That's why you want to use a low heat to really prevent the caramelization that's going to happen on the outside of the food. That way it allows for the heat to penetrate all the way inside and then start separating out that moisture. So sauteing is generally used on smaller cuts of food and when you want to cook something quickly and add color and texture. It's usually good for vegetable sides. Sweating is for when you want to extract as much flavor out of a vegetable as you can. The longer you cook those vegetables on low heat, the more water is going to evaporate, really concentrating the flavor that's inside. So this method of cooking is usually used for when you want to build flavor in soups and sauces, those types of things. Things to note on both these methods of cooking is that you don't want to crowd the pan, because that will prevent things from cooking evenly, as well as it will drop the heat of the pan too low for these cooking methods to be effective. My tip on sauteing is to make sure to start out with a preheated pan and then add the oil and then let the oil heat up. If the oil isn't hot enough and you add the items that you're cooking, the oil will actually absorb into the food instead of beginning to cook them right away. If you have any additional questions as far as sauteing, sweating, or if there's any recipes you want me to walk you through, leave it down in the comments below and I'll be happy to make a video on it later on. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in a couple of days.